And a good morning to you. Welcome inside the bottom line here on a Tuesday morning. Don't get used to this weather because it's getting ready to go away. Humidity's coming back with a vengeance tomorrow. And 90-degree heat. Tomorrow? We have not hit 90 degrees this year. Yeah, 89, I think we've hit 3 times, but we've not hit 90. So when it comes, it'll be ugly. And I can tell you, honestly, I thought we had more humidity than that because I can tell you I've got that humidifier that runs back here because I have to have humidity in here for the equipment. And it stayed about – I keep it set at 45%. And 45, I've run very, very little water through it in the last month or so. So the humidity has to be pretty good in here. Let's see here.
So it's not. It doesn't have. It's not supposed to be dry in here. It's supposed to be more humid. Got it.
Now in the wintertime, that thing don't hardly cut off because you got heat going. But summertime, you don't have to worry about it. It kind of does all right in the summertime. So you had a doubleheader last night?
Yeah, I had 2 against Asheville last night. Kids played pretty good. Asheville was swinging a little bit, but our guys threw the ball well. We made some good plays. They hit the ball hard a couple times, but they hit it right at us.
So you didn't get to see any of the state game last night?
No, well, full disclosure here, I cannot tell a lie. So A.J. Henley had it on his phone down at where he was sitting. Coach Henley did down at the end of the dugout. He kind of had it over at the corner, keeping everybody up to date. We were multitasking last night. But the kid from North Lincoln, Matthew Hefner, plays second base in NC State. And we were watching the games. Quinn walked by and said, "Oh, there's Matthew," because they work out, train together over here. But it was good to see, not only Matthew, but local kids doing well and getting a chance to go. And I believe it's 4-4 in Omaha. I believe it's 4 ACC and 4 SEC. Yep. So that's exciting though, Wayne. That kind of because you got some great schools out there like Dallas Baptist and
my Tigers let me down. They should have been there. But here's the deal. They're really young. Florida outplayed them, so there was nothing wrong with that.
No.
But the part that Juju and I talked about it last night, that had to be some of the worst officiating, not from a call standpoint, but just for disrupting the flow of the game constantly.
So the problem is there's too many rules.
Yes.
Okay. There's too
many that's left up to interpretation instead of clear cut.
And of course they were gonna. This is the problem. All right. You have a minor collision at first base. They re-engage and push each other again. More of the
no swings or anything.
No. More of the pitcher from Florida. Right. And we're living in such a touchy-feely, real ridiculous sports world right now. 30 years ago when I was in East Carolina, that's a full-blown let's go get them. Everybody fights and we get back to the dugout and then, we play baseball, right? You still eject people for fighting, but not a guy that's rounding third with 2 outs. His teammates over there getting ready to get into it. All he did was run over there. He did not touch anybody, did not hit anybody. Now, he fussed a little bit at the, maybe the umpire or that player, probably that player. And umpires did a good job, and so did Clemson. They had kids come out of the dugout, but again, baseball's so different, Laney, with the way that the sport is played, and there's not there's too much. There's too much of, they call it sportsmanship, but I call it, well, I'm not going to tell you what I call it, but there's too much of that. No, you don't want kids to fight. The whole point of sport is so mankind won't kill each other.
Yep.
All right, that's why God allowed us to create sport. But to your point, there's a little bit too much talk about the umpires and not enough talk about the players on the field.
There was
in that game. That's the problem.
Yeah, and
that's the problem.
Great officiating is completely transparent. You don't see it.
Right.
But those guys, the guy, and there's a name because I told Juju I'd ask you this morning.
Yeah.
Is it called the crew chief of the team?
Yeah.
Of the umpires.
That's it.
He was on first base.
Yeah.
He was college baseball's TV Teddy. He wanted his screen time. And then the announcers kept complaining because the NCAA didn't do anything to give them communication so they knew what was happening.
Right.
Finally, after the when the 2 coaches were thrown out, NCAA officials went to the field and met with the umpires to just see what was going on.
Yeah, well, that you got to, because what happens is when you have that much engagement, into an investment of people's time and energy and enthusiasm into a game, Things cannot be left up to interpretation.
Right.
And when they are, chaos ensues because that creates what's called confusion. Right? It's like when you don't set expectation as a coach or as a parent with your kid. When you don't set expectation and then follow through with it, then confusion sets in because it's inconsistency. This is now hey, look, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Things are going to happen. They're going to come up, but it's the way we handle what comes up is what's most important. It's like me getting ejected out of a softball game, going and watching my niece. When they were playing West Lincoln, I was more upset. As a fan sitting back there, and I gave that guy a hard time because he was making it all about him.
Right.
I'm not, and you know what? I thought, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. And he's gonna do that, then I'm gonna do this. Right? It's a yin and yang. And I've been watching sports too long, especially baseball and softball, to sit by and just cross my arms and say, well, it is what it is. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Okay? Listen, the Gen Xers are pissed off. All right? We've watched crap go down the toilet, all right, the last 12, 15 years. It's over. I'm not going to sit by and say, well, I'm not going to give them a hard time about this. Listen, when those kids train that hard, Clemson's kids, Florida's kids, when people are invested that much in a game, whether it be a high school softball championship game, whatever, there's got to be better accountability. You are paid to do a job, and don't tell me we can't get anybody to officiate. Maybe, listen, there's 8 billion people on the planet. You're telling me you can't get a certain amount to go out there and call a game? Are you freaking kidding me? Number one, pay them. Number two, hold them accountable for what they're getting paid. Okay? Don't talk about their feelings because nobody cares.
Let me ask
nobody,
you this. Let me ask you this.
Me. Nobody cares about mine. When I'm coaching, I go to Madison County, take over 10 days before the season starts, go to the playoffs for the first time in school history, beat the number 9 team in the state the last game of the season to qualify, and I'm still the dumbest SOB on the planet. As a head football coach, you think anybody cares about my feelings? Come on, man. Hey, look, it's a yin and a yang, bro.
Let me ask you about baseball-specific rules. The part that bothered me from the first dust-up that came, I felt like, and I don't know the rules, but the Clemson player, and not just because it was Clemson, the Clemson's player was in the baseline. I felt like the pitcher was over-aggressive on the tag.
Yeah, he was a little bit.
Because the baseline is the player. They can call interference on a defensive player, can they not?
Oh, if he has the ball in his hand, no, they can't.
Okay.
But you bring up a very, very good point. And there was a better way to handle that because Clemson's kid, from what I saw, did not do an elbow.
All the pitcher had to do was just tag him.
But the Clemson kid didn't slow down either.
That's correct.
It's
his baseline.
Which I'm okay with.
Me too.
But again, if we're going to have these protective rules, for players, everybody's going to have to kind of come to the consensus that, hey, look, he's got the ball in his glove. I'm in the baseline. Let's chill out. I know I'm pissed because I didn't hit it the way I wanted to. Life, people are starving in the world. It's okay. Let's get refocused. We're competitive. We're in the moment. Everybody gets that. Who doesn't get that are the rules committee because they take everything at face value. Remember what Nick Saban said, and many other great, whether it be college or pro, multiple sports. All right. What he talks about and what so many talk about is what is perceived as aggression and anger by so many is really passion. It's passion for setting a standard and trying to meet it. All right. Now, what happened is both those players, the Clemson kid and the Florida State kid, were passionate about what they were doing. They didn't get emotional until after the second bump.
Right.
So, you know what, though? That dude comes back and pushes me, and I'm a Clemson kid. I don't care if he's 6'19", 432 pounds. I'm going to get his schnoz, man. I'm going for it.
Well,
and that kid did a great job of not
holding
doing that.
Composure.
They all did.
Yeah.
Let them be competitive.
Yeah.
You know what? How much more viewership stayed glued for extra innings of baseball because of that instead of just turning off saying, God, it's a long game. I know it's, game 2, but I'm just going to go. Everybody stayed glued in because of what happened in the first inning and then get Leggett getting thrown out and then Batchett getting thrown out. And then, it was just crazy. I can't believe they threw number 3 out, though, for what he did. What he didn't do. He's the kid that rounded third, and then when I said he left his position on the field. Hell, he got
the inning was over.
But according to the rules, they're right, and they should have ejected him. according to the rules. But it's kind of like, Laney, you can call a hold in football every play because you're a lineman. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no harm, no foul. You give both teams a warning. Hey, guys, hey, look, that's it. We understand it's competitive. We want everybody to stay in. Cooler heads prevail, or we're going to start chunking people. Now, if they do that, I have no problem. I got a problem with what they did.
Well, the thing that bothered me so much about it was, when you have an unsportsmanlike in football, the first guy never gets caught. It's the guy that retaliates because they're usually not watching till they.
Sorry, we got instant replay now.
Till you see it. But here's I guess the thing that bothered me is the extracurricular after the tag. If anything, it should have been against both players, but nothing happened. That's why the big surprise when the kid coming from third. And if you go back and watch the replay, he doesn't get in a skirmish. He just comes up there where his team is.
He fussed a little bit too much, and he drew too much attention to himself. And this is the problem with instant replay. I think it's a good thing, but this is the problem with it. Sometimes, again, what is perceived as inappropriate or ill behavior is really passion. That kid, let me tell you something. These kids are playing for a potential once-in-a-lifetime experience. They've been set up for this. They've trained. They've done everything they've been asked to do.
Yep.
All right. There's things that are at stake here with the investment, but yet we have these people say, "Well, they shouldn't go out there."
And it's an elimination game.
I'm like, okay. First of all, if you've never been there, shut your mouth.
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And understand the moment. Okay. And all of us are. It's okay to armchair quarterback and have opinions. Have no problem with that, but we don't need to have influencing in things that we don't know anything about.
Like I say, that's where my problem came from. Is I felt like there wasn't enough, and I'm not asking for you to bend the rules till they break, but there needs to be some consideration that this is an elimination game.
Let me tell you good umpiring. 1999, we go down to Cherryville, and whoever wins that game wins the conference championship and goes to the state playoffs between two 1A schools and a 1A 2A conference. Listen to this. It's the fourth inning. My youngest brother JR is on third. All right, we're very aggressive on the bases. Aaron's pitching. State championship team. All right, we're on third. There's one out. JR's on third. My leadoff hitter, who was that? Anyway, hits a blooper into left field. I tell JR, shortstop's taking off running. Say if he catches his tag up and go home. Shortstop caught it, set his feet, made a great throw home. JR's out by probably 8 or 10 steps. The problem was the catcher was about 10 feet up the line. Mm-hmm. Well, you still can't run over. But what JR did, he's a ninth grader. Now, he's a football guy. All right? He lowered his shoulder and about killed that dude. Knocked his ass like 15 feet, literally, bouncing on his ass behind home plate on the other side. So imagine being up the line, boom, and he just kept going back. Dude jumps up, starts going at him. My dugout clears. You imagine how Grant was coming out of there. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's back when he was really hyper. All right? And then Cherryville's dugout was out. The game right then was supposed to be everybody left the bench, double ejection. Cherryville, you win by forfeit, double forfeit. You win the conference championship. You know what the umpire did? Got everybody back. Coach Jones at Cherryville got everybody back because our kids are already at each other's throats anyway. It's competition. Sure. We want them to be without doing this. Yeah. But they handled the game. And Coach Taylor was, I think Coach Taylor, Jim Taylor was the like conference, I say athletic conference president, I believe at that time. Right. I think that's right. And Coach Brown was there, who was our athletic director, football coach for a long time. And everything got back. Tom said, they should have just thrown JR out and then that catcher forget up fight. And Jim Taylor said, you need to let a sleeping dog sleep. I said, what do you mean? He said, both teams left the dugout. Yeah. That's double ejection. You can't hand pick what you want to do. But the umpires got everybody back, said, hey, all right, everybody get settled, no more. It happened. Let's play. So they threw JR out for running over the guy, which is illegal. Mm-hmm. He should have been tossed. Mm-hmm. He was one of the better Pete Rose thing. But you know what? The kid from Cherville's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thing about it was he didn't do it dirty. He lowered his shoulder.
Right.
The boy had the ball in hand right at the same time, 15 feet up the line. They hit. Now, should he have run over him? No. But the point was it wasn't dirty. They were just playing. And the kid from Cherville's fine. He's a tough kid, a great catcher, good kid. I've known him for years. No problem, okay? Yeah. Well, anyway, that's how officiating needs to be. Now, in today's world, they not in high school, but they go back to the monitor and everybody gets tossed, and then the kids lose everything that everybody's invested in. They did. The point is they're not the ones that decided on the field. The replay does. I don't like that.
Well, the thing of it is what should have been done in that situation, because there were no punches thrown. Okay, because Clemson's team didn't really cross the first baseline. Neither did Florida's. They came all the way over because that's where it was going on. But what should have happened is as you said, they should have settled both teams down, warned them, and not thrown anybody out.
What I would have done, and this sounds crazy like youth league baseball, but what I would have done in order to keep both kids in the game, all right, because the kid from Florida was a little aggressive.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, he was. And the kid from Clemson, I would have called out 3 players. The base runner from Clemson, the pitcher from Florida, and the batter runner from Clemson that had a collision with the pitcher. And I would have taken them right out there, kind of on the field but on the side, and I would have made them shake hands in front of everybody.
You know, when they called him out of the dugout, I thought that's what was going to happen.
Well, now that sounds crazy, and but what it does is it lets everybody see, hey, the umpires in control of the game.
Right.
They've got the guys on the same page, and now anything else that goes on, you're gone.
Yep.
That way the players decided
first
on the
inning.
field. I know that way the players decided on the field, man.
Yeah. No, I that was the part that bothered me. I just didn't. I understand that they had the power based on rules to do what they did.
And they were damned if they do, damned if they don't. Yeah. Because if they didn't throw him out, then people say, "Well, by the rule, he's supposed to be thrown out because he left his position." Da 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 da. I get that.
But they could have just as easily thrown the 2 players out that were involved.
But they would have been better being proactive to the players and not being so stringent with the rules and saying, okay, even though you have to have rules and follow them. I get that. But at the same time, it's the integrity of the game that became at stake because of the interpretation of the rule instead of the realization of the moment.
Right. The interpretation of the moment was more important than the interpretation of the rule.
Yeah.
And that's where I had the problem. I just felt like, and plus the guy that they threw out was almost arbitrary because he really didn't do anything, wasn't involved in the collision, and he was just as confused as anybody else when it happened.
You know what the coach from Clemson said? He came out and he talked to the umpire. The umpire said, number 3's gone. He said, I'm calling him out because you're going to be the one to throw him out. I'm not telling my player.
Yeah.
And that guy, the head coach at Clemson, I'm so glad he brought back Coach Leggett too, because Jack Leggett, is just he's not only intense and passionate, but he is 100% all about the players. Mm-hmm. And yes, Clemson's players, but he's about the players on the other team. He's about college
competition.
Baseball.
He's about competition. Is what it's about.
And it's nice to see that and the guys that were coaching at Clemson before, after Coach Leggett left, did a good job. It's just a different, and things are different, all right. And this guy's he's going to be there for a while. He's going to get the kids in that he feels that he can build with, and he's going to have the continued guidance because he worked for Coach Leggett. He's going to have continued guidance of that as long as Coach Leggett is around.
Yeah. Let me take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit mooneyinsurance.com.
At Stifel Nicholas, we're committed to offering investors personalized investment guidance. We're a full-service organization with departments staffed with professionals that specialize in a wide range of investment opportunities, from the most conservative to the most aggressive. We strive to give each account, regardless of size, careful, individual attention. Call 4Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC and the New York Stock Exchange.
And we're back. Beautiful day starting off here today. Couldn't find our Facebook feed to see any comments coming in, so you must have it now. Okay. I don't know why I didn't do it the first time, but I sure couldn't find it the first time. Let me put it that way.
There we go.
All right. Glad to have you along here on a Tuesday morning. Other things, yeah, it came up this time. I got nothing. This technology stuff's great when it works. Other thing that was going on, were you surprised that Hurley turned down the offer to the Lakers?
We talked about this a little bit last night. I'm not. Because I really think he enjoys making a difference and having control over how he can recruit. I think he enjoys relationships. There's too many good things that he's doing and can make a dynasty and legacy for himself if he continues on that path.
Well, and it's not just about the money, because I think his last deal was 5 years, $32 million something. It's not about money.
No.
But I've said this, and we talked about it last night. The difference between a professional coach and a college coach, in college you're still in control. In the pros, you're not. The pros are run by the players to some extent.
Well, that's where the problem. If the Lakers were serious about cleaning their roster up, all right, and about cleaning things up and bringing a championship there, then no was not the answer that they would have given Hurley the opportunity to give. You know, I really think that there would have been a major clash.
Oh gosh!
Between him and a couple of people on that team,
not counting the ownership of the Lakers.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think the Lakers. again, Lanny, it's like this. We talk about this with Dallas. What's more important, championships or the brand?
Yeah.
The brand is more important because it's L.A., which is a style-based town, not a substance-based town. Okay? And that doesn't mean there's not people there of significance and substance. That's not. But I'm talking about perception is the reality. All right? And that's just the way L.A. is perceived. It's kind of like, formerly New York City. Now New York City has its own perception of the crazy, okay, that's, going on there. And all the things that people have been talking about for years that, we need to do this and do that. Well, now you're getting it. And you're like, we can't do this anymore. It just ridiculous. I mean,
yeah,
it's a style versus substance issue. And Hurley is all about substance. And because of his personality, his substance brings its own style. It's kind of like Michael Jordan. But, Jordan was not looked at as a stylish type player. He was looked at, even in college, he was looked at as one of significance and substance. And what happened is Gatorade Nike came along. His substance created its own style, which is the truest form of continued success, not the other way around. So that's kind of where we're at with Hurley, brother.
But where, the whole thing behind that is, and the Lakers, even though that is a top 5, maybe even top 3 premier franchise, you got added pressure, but you're going to have no control because you still got to deal with LeBron. And I don't care what LeBron says when he says, I don't have anything to say or do about the coaching. He can make everybody uncomfortable because you're trying to appease him as well. So
congratulations to him on all the success he's
had.
But I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the next chapter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm done with this. Okay.
Yep.
I've been hearing about the King James thing for 25 years. I'm done with it.
Yep. No, you're right.
Congratulations. Great job. Good for you.
Let's move on.
And I'm so excited to see what the next chapter holds for that.
No, I agree. And it's not to say that Hurley may not ever go into the NBA. He's only 51. So it's not like he's not going to, if health holds out, that he's going to be fine. But I think the biggest thing is for him is he wants to make sure that he can run the program the way he feels like it should be run.
Absolutely.
And the way that he's done it, if you haven't been shown or proven, and I ain't got a dog in the fight, if you haven't been shown and proven that he knows what he's doing when it comes to coaching and selecting talent and putting that talent together, then you're sleeping under a rock somewhere.
He's pretty good. The thing about it, too, is he's kind of like the Bobby Knight, Dean Smith, Coach K thing. He's all about cohesiveness, playing defense, all of these things that it takes to be a champion consistently and not over, just in one night. Okay? There's just this set of standards that very successful coaches, people have. And they set it really high. And they set expectation with it. So if you don't adhere to it, you might not like it, but it's really hard to be upset because you know what you got.
Well, it's just like Matt Rule. Matt Rule's going to be fine back in college.
Matt Rule is amazing.
But he's not a professional coach because he can't interject what he believes in the way things should be done like you can on the college level.
I think he's going to be ending up being at some point much like Andy Reid. Okay, from a personality standpoint, I'm talking about personal. From a personality standpoint, the more that I follow him and the more that I watch what's going on without being there, just what we know is what we know. That's all. This is somebody that is really, really, really good with player relationships and deepening those and providing opportunity for all people that are within whatever he's doing. And I think – don't know, but I think when he took that type of approach to Carolina and realized that he had a limited scope of what he knew to be right, just, and true, that it hampered everything around him where it just kind of stalled out and just started declining. At Nebraska, like I said last time, they may or may not had some kids go out of the transfer portal. But when he's talking to them, he's like, guys, look, all the way from, the guys on the field to the guys that don't get on the field a lot yet, to our training staff, to our doctors, talking about the providers, for the program. Everybody's just one. Coaches. He's like, we have NFL coaches here on this staff and people that have been in the NFL that can help you get there. You have the greatest health care, the greatest fan base, which there's several schools that argue that, but it's true. Nebraska's fan base.
That's a storied program.
Yes.
All the way back to the Tom Osborne days.
And what he's doing is he's not Tom Osborne, but he gives you that feel of, what we're going to do is address the matters most important to the people in the program, which are the players, the support staff all the way around, and it's going to extend out to the community. It's quite remarkable what he's doing. And the fact that, he said, guys, there's NFL guys here, NFL coaches here, they're on staff. The scouts that come around, they never ask, well, how many tackles did he have as a freshman? They don't care about that. They care about your development and your ability to show improvement. So when they are interested in you and they may take you in the draft or sign you as a free agent, they know that you're continuing to strive and get better, and they know what they're getting. Don't get somebody that just bounces everywhere and just tries to make it.
Well, and I've always said in anything like that, so many people get it backwards.
Yes.
If you do the little things, the big things will take care of themselves. You can't address the big things if you don't have the little things that make up the big things under control and doing them proficiently. And that's where a lot of people lose it. I want to be here. Well, you got to come through here to get there. You can't just go there.
And you're right. In the conversation that he's not afraid to have with the player is they recruit a player to bring him in. They start developing. The kid's just not working out, but he's still a good player, but he can't quite. He's going to help them get to a place, if they want to play football, where they can continue to grow and play at that level. So they may have recruited a person, and said they get there after 2 or 3 years, like, this is where you are. You're more than welcome to continue, staying here and provide an opportunity for you to play. But we're just not seeing the level of improvement.
Right.
And so what we're saying is, if you need to go somewhere to do that, to get on the field, then this is what we want you to do. Enjoy your experience so you can play a little more, because we don't see the next level in your future.
Right.
Now that could motivate that person to say, well, I'll show you even better. But he's not hurting their feelings. He's telling them the truth. He leads in that.
Well, but
there's many of them that do, Lanny.
Yeah,
that we don't hear about. They're very good with these players across the board. They're not the great ones. Don't cater to feelings and emotions. They cater to the passions that the players have. All right, and how much they want to contribute in whatever manner it is.
But you'd much rather see a situation, even though today's generation struggles with facing reality to some extent.
Not the younger kids. Not the ones.
No, but I'm talking
20,
about
20 down. It's the generation above them that does.
But
because nothing was led in truth with that generation. Everything was based on the premise of mental health, and if you tell the truth to somebody, it will destroy them mentally, when the exact is opposite.
Sure, and that's what I'm saying. I admire coaches that can do that. Much like, and I know you follow Cowherd too. Cowherd talks about, and I asked Juju this last night, we were talking about Bryce Young. Cowherd says if you've got a rookie quarterback that starts early, by Thanksgiving of his second year, you're going to know if he's going to work out or not. I mean, because you should have enough time. You're talking about close to 30 games.
Well, the problem is if your team sucks around him,
I know
that's not a fair evaluation. But to Cowherd's point, see, the problem is if you got a rookie quarterback playing, that means your team sucks anyway.
Right.
Most of the time. Okay, and so it's just all one big collapsing.
But what I'm getting at is the teams that can evaluate and say, look, we screwed up on this one. We don't need to double down and try to make a square peg fit in a round hole. We need to move on and continue rebuilding this franchise.
Well, I think it's overhyping based on a narrative.
Yeah.
This quarterback's the next. I mean, Kenny Pickett, to me, got zero chance. He had zero chance to be a good NFL quarterback.
Right.
Because the offensive coordinators, which was very evident, and the pieces around him and the chaos and the level of mediocrity of just a status quo for a high-achieving person such as Kenny Pickett that stayed in school, played an extra year, okay, willed his team to, a very good season, championship, whatever, through his leadership and play. He'd been in the Steelers training facility for 3 years. They knew what they were getting. The problem was they didn't get anything around him. Najee Harris was not effective as he could have been because the offensive line was not as effective as it needed to be.
Right.
We didn't throw the ball. The Steelers didn't throw the ball in the middle of the field. Now, I'm not repeating something – I am repeating something that's been said time and time again on TV. But that doesn't make it not true.
Right.
And I don't – I could care less about wide receiver weapons. I just don't see the relevance in it. They catch 6 balls a game out of, 100 and some plays. You know what the big secret is? Line up and motor grade. Because the defenses aren't built for that.
See, I feel like both facets of the game, whether it's running the ball or the pass, you got to have both of them. And I'm not completely sold that I got to run it from the first time, but I got to be effective on both sides or I can't keep the defense honest. It doesn't matter. I mean, if my running's not working, I can open things up with the pass, then the defense has got to back up and honor that. Then my running game will open up.
You know why, like, Andy Reid and, like, Philadelphia's coach and, like, the boy at Miami are such good play callers? Is because in their bones, they want to be able to run the football. And if they can't get a direct handoff, they're just as happy with the swing pass or a counter shuffle.
Much like the West Coast offense was nothing but running the football through passes because of little 3-4 yard dinks and dunks.
And they are effective because there's not a lot of ground to cover, like you said, on those. And the innovation of that was really the realization that we just got to expand the running game a little more to try to spread the defense out so we can get in between the tackles. What do you remember that Joe Montana and John Elway and quarterbacks that weren't really, really fast, but what do you remember about their ability in the pocket and out of the pocket? They could do what? They could scramble. They were effective at making decisions and getting 5, 7, 8, 10 yards. Steve Young was a great example of that. Probably one of the most underrated quarterbacks to ever play in the NFL for the value that he brought. It's like Jerry Rice said. They put Jerry Rice on pinpoint and said, who you like catching touchdowns better from, Steve Young or Joe Montana? He said, I'm not answering that question.
Yeah.
Because they were both so effective. He didn't want to. He said the ball just spins a little differently from one to the other.
Because one's left-handed, one's right-handed. That's it.
But the point is, think about the effectiveness of the Bears. What did they do in the 80s that separated them? Like the Raiders in the early 80s when they won the Super Bowl with Marcus Allen. What was their thing? Running the football. The Redskins, John Riggins. Everybody's worried about how fast somebody is instead of the foxhole guy. The fast guy can get away from the bullets and the grenades sometimes. But the foxhole guy is going to stay in there with you until you neutralize the threat in front of you, and nothing and that doesn't change in sports. Flashes are great. The big boom when you all get it done, is what's most important.
But it's one of those things to where I'm like you. I don't think that I've got to have the greatest receiver in football. I've got to have a great core of receivers that each bring a little different set of skills that when put together make me complete.
100%.
I mean, that's where I just think that there's a lot of moving pieces, but you got to have all those little moving pieces or the whole thing won't come together and work unless you're just so dominant at one area or the other. And in pro football now, there's not. Nobody's that dominant in anything anymore. You got to have all these little facets of the game, and you've got to use it all working together because nobody's going out there and just dominating from one place or another.
And that's such a good point because it's interesting, Harbaugh being in the NFL and going back to college and now coming back to the NFL. I think that his brother, John, I think Andy Reid, when I say I'm not sold on Shanahan, I don't mean that he's not a great coach, okay, and with, Lynch and, all that, with the GM. But I think what you're going to see is a major turning point, which it's about time for one, where we talk about diversification within the offense and the defense and things like that. I think you're going to see more of what's called asset relocation. And I think what you're going to see in the NFL is that desire out of Harbaugh, Andy Reid. Andy Reid's going to take stress off of Mahomes as he gets older because his level of play can't stay that high forever. You're going to see more of a power running game, more of a stronger defense set up to withstand long drives and give up a field goal instead of over-the-top touchdowns. Harbaugh's going to build his team, I believe, that way. To your point. Yeah,
the thing that you've got to have is you've got to be able, I call it counterpunching.
Yeah.
If they stop one thing, you've got to be efficient enough in another so that you can continue to process. Because if you can't, that's when you get stopped. And that's where I think, that's why the Chiefs were still successful even though they lost Tyreek Hill at receiver.
100%. It's like he's gone, but is he? We don't really know that he's gone because of the way that we just relocate the assets around.
That's correct, right? And that the teams that are successful, that's what they do.
Well, I think the power of observation is very strong too. And I'll give you a great example. A few years ago, we were playing Lincoln, and they lined up in the T backfield, toe to toe up front, and they got the ball at the 25-yard line. In 17 plays, they marched it down to the 20, and we stalled them out. In about 15 of those 17 plays, our coaching staff was losing them. We got to stop them. I said, guys, this is an opportunity for us to see what we've got from a defensive standpoint. I need some time to evaluate. We got to get in there and cut them. We got to stop them. They're killing. I was like, they're not killing us.
Statistically,
they are running the football. Yeah. And what we're doing is we're able to measure now our level of toughness without making a whole lot of adjustments. They're getting 3 to 5 yards. Our kids need to understand what it's like to get in the trenches and battle.
But when that field gets short, it takes options away.
It does. And then what happens is, me knowing, the team that we're going against, they were very well coached. I believe Scott was coaching them then, all right, or had a lot to do with it. Very well coached. But one thing that they were young, and they would be penalty prone here or there. So out of 17-play drive that far down the field, what happened was they had to break out of that because they got an offside penalty, and it put them second, and instead of 2nd and 7, it put them 2nd and 12.
Behind the chains.
Right, so they can't get to 3. Right, so then they had to break out and go back to their spread stuff, which eventually gave us the ball turnover on downs. But the point is there's so much but we got to do this. We got to stop. I'm like, guys, freaking relax, and let me evaluate what we got and how they're handling what we got.
You can't just make wholesale changes looking for something that will stop what's going on.
But again,
there has to be a method to your madness.
It's a style versus substance issue. I'm a process-oriented guy. No, I don't want them to score. Yes, they're moving the ball at 3 and 4 and 5 yards a clip. I'm okay with that because we haven't played this style of football all year. And what it did was our kids ended up getting pissed. And all of a sudden they're like, you know what, no more of this.
Yeah.
And so what happened was when we lined up against Polk County in the playoffs, and they were a run-oriented team, guess what happened? Didn't work out real good for them. Because we'd been there and we knew what to do and what level we needed to play at based on that style of play, right? It's the same thing that you're going to see with my point to Harbaugh, Andy Reid, the coach from Philadelphia. I can't remember. He's a young guy. He does a great job. Buffalo's going to do the same thing with McVay. McVay's made a couple of adjustments that are going to make the Bills relevant. And Mike McDaniel is the guy at Miami that really he says a lot of funny and weird, crazy stuff, but he really has a fundamental understanding of the game itself, what's going on, and he's got a good relationship with his players. It's a very honest but fun relationship, and he'll cut a player if he needs to, and they all know that. But at the same time, he's trying to help them be the best they can be.
Nick Sirianni, that's who's at Philadelphia.
And I got to tell you, I really think that the Ryans guy, I can't remember, D'Amico Ryan. Is it D'Amico Ryans?
Houston. He did a great job last year.
I think we've got another one there that is in that in that same in that same category.
I agree.
So, yeah. And I like Zach. Is it Zach Taylor? I can't remember.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, I like him too.
Yep.
I think he's got a good understanding of. I hope they don't win when they play us, but he's got a good understanding of the game. So.
Well, so many things are going on inside the league, and it's almost like a changing of the guard when you look at McDaniel and Daboll, and of course Vrabel's not out there right now. Robert Saleh is another one. Sean McDermott at Buffalo, LaFleur. The Green Bay Packers have made leaps and bounds strides, and I just hope that last signing that they did don't cripple them from a money standpoint. That's the only thing that worries me a little bit.
That's tough.
But all of these guys seem to, and I would say that this current crop of about 80%, if not better, of the NFL coaches are what's considered player coaches. They're interested in kind of doing it all together and not just dictating what needs to be done.
Right.
Because the easiest way to get maximum performance out of somebody is to get buy-in on their end.
Right.
If you can get them to buy in, then you've got them committed, then they'll do what they have to do to get it done. It's when you don't have the buy-in that it's such a problem. And that's where I always thought the problem was with Aaron Rodgers at Green Bay. He just never would completely buy in and do what needed to be done, even though not taking anything away from him from a player. One final question before we get out of here. 3-year extension for Mike Tomlin. Juju and I talked about it last night. I'm not happy with it. I understand it, but we compared his record with John Harbaugh at the Ravens, and they're about the same. But I don't see any movement made by the Steelers. It's just here. It's just wavering kind of up and down.
Yeah.
And I don't like it any better when the Carolina Panthers couldn't go back-to-back winning seasons. That wasn't any better either.
The thing that I struggle with is how much I like Mike Tomlin.
Yes.
As a human being.
Yes.
And as a coach.
Yes.
I just think that, sometimes it's just time.
You know what Pat Riley said?
That he was the decade guy, right?
Pat Riley said after 10 years, you need a new voice.
Right. And I think on the professional level, because things do change so rapidly, because you don't have the same personnel. And Pat Riley says that about when he coached in the era when players did stay on the team for a while.
Yeah. You didn't have all the free agency move. Yeah.
I think it's to be decided on a lot of these things. But as far as Tomlin goes, that the struggle that I have is the wonderful man and things that he does. He is when he took over that job, he was in his 30s.
Mm-hmm.
He was very mature. John Lynch played for him.
Mm-hmm.
When he was an assistant, I believe at either Minnesota or Tampa Bay or whatever, and said this guy's going to be a tremendous head coach, and he's right. But in the end, is it about achievement or is it about success? And one can say Tomlin's been to 2 Super Bowls, right, and won. That's success. But then are we seeing, things being revamped and taken to the next step, or things just kind of – we don't see the heartbeat in there anywhere, right?
And I'm not sure where – I don't want to say blame, but I don't know where the issue lies. Is it a Tomlin thing? Is it a personnel thing? Is it a management thing?
Yes.
Is it a philosophy thing from management of how they want to do things?
In the end, it's like us being husbands and fathers, okay? In the end, if we're responsible for things, in the end, regardless of what happens, it is our fault because I'm saying as a father, you're in charge of, helping your child understand, what's true and what's not. Okay, and how to dissect all the feelings from a socioeconomic environment that we live in currently, and places we visit and all these things. But in the end, you're the parent, and it's your fault. So, well, you can't control how other people, what they do and all that. Let me tell you something. When you're in charge, doesn't matter what happens, okay? It's your fault.
Yeah.
It's your fault. And who's in charge of the Steelers?
Mike Tomlin is, for all intents and purposes. Really? GM?
Higher.
Ownership.
Who's in charge?
Ownership.
If you look at Dallas, I'm going to say you, I'm talking third person, and you say, why have they not been in the Super Bowl? What is the first thing you say?
Well, Jerry Jones. Yeah.
He's in charge. That's what I'm getting at now.
But I guess I don't see it with the Steelers because I don't see that side of the organization being as visible as somebody like a Jerry Jones.
Well, I think they're very evident in their messaging, though.
Right. The direction of how they want the club to function.
I think they're very, very direct in their messaging and what's most important to.
And they want stability on the club. But stability doesn't make championships.
Well, I think anytime you maintenance, you start dying.
Right. That's right.
You get comfortable. Comfortable equals death.
Like prevent.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. It's kind of like, when people retire, they say, well, now I don't have to do anything. I've gotten to the point where I can retire and things are okay. You got to be reinvigorated.
Yep.
All right. We were put here to work. That doesn't mean necessarily a job, but that means for the benefit of.
Yep.
Got to keep going. Do all you can do while you can do it. Manage your energy. That way you can manage your focus. And that allows you to stay passionate instead of becoming emotional.
There's a difference.
I had this with a talk with a kid last night. He's struggling a little bit at the plate, having, hit the ball hard a couple times and got out, just really stressed. I said, hey, look, there's two ways to handle every situation. You can handle it with passion, which allows you to keep your focus, or you can become emotional and you just start losing it and you just deteriorate even more.
Yeah.
It's very easier said than done, but once you realize it and are mature enough to accept it, then that's when the tide turns and stays in your favor.
Two-part equation.
Yes.
Are you here Thursday?
Let's see. Nope.
You're not here Thursday?
Wait a minute. Yes. Yes, I am. Yes.
All right. So we'll see you on Thursday. Have a good rest of your day today. Get out and enjoy some sunshine.
And some heat.